hi everyone. As soon as I said we were good, I discovered that my cursor is missing, so let's hope I can go through my slides. I'm going to check. As you can see from the screen, the title of my talk is called Accessibility as a Hydra. My name is EJ Mason. You can @ me on Twitter at codeability, all one word, smushed together. Now I'm going to push the arrow key and hope that that will take me forward. Everyone, please root for me. No. Yeah, I saw that, but I can't get my cursor to come back over. OK, let's see if I can go the other way. I think that I can see a monitor over here, and I think that the directions are switched. Oh, there we go. I think I'm back. OK, we're back. We are back. OK, forward. Yes, OK, hi. Yay! Demo gods. OK, so I am a senior software engineer at Webflow, and on the right of the screen we see my dog Thor. He's adorable, he's a golden retriever, and he loves my friend Jesse more than me, and I wanted to share that with all of you. All right, so today we're talking about stories. These stories are mythology, they're about people, they're about accessibility, they're about the web, because everything's a story. And in fact, I have for you today a story of stories. I love stories, particularly fiction, and especially fantasy fiction, because stories like these have always helped me to make sense of life's scariest and most complex problems. And so, in lieu of the podium being too tall, Jess worked really hard to get me this nice prop so I can fake smoke and talk to you and tell you about stories. So imagine, please, a whole fireplace behind me. Imagine this chair is not some kind of Blue's Clues prop, but like a winged high-back chair. Thank you. I'm not using this because I can't talk and have this, but here you all, there's a pipe. We're putting this down now. And I want to say that stories are interesting because if you spend enough time with stories, you learn not only from them, but you see that they learn from each other. There's a constant conversation happening. Stories learn from themselves, from each other, and we learn from them in turn. And before I begin my first story, I'd like to acknowledge that we are on the unceded lands of the Suquamish, Duwamish, Nisqually, Snoqualmie, and Muckleshoot tribes. And in particular, I want to acknowledge the Duwamish tribe, whose lands were stolen to become what is now Seattle. Their lands are the lands we're using to tell stories today, and their elders live on these lands with us. Now, to my first story. Hercules. This first story comes from Greek mythology. And the really interesting thing about Greek mythology is that it's not just a story, it's a record of the history of the world according to the Greeks. It's the way they said, this is what the world means, this is how it comes together, and this is what everything means to us. So, to take that literally, excuse me, the world comes together with very sad, very muscular men. This is Hercules, depicted as a bronze statue. He's got curly hair and a curly beard. Hercules was the son of Zeus, who ruled the Greek gods. He was very strong and beloved by basically everyone except for Hera, Zeus's wife. This is Hera, depicted as a marble statue herself, draped in exquisite marble fabric. And you might be wondering why she, who looks so serene, would want to kill Hercules, why she would devote herself to hating this baby that her husband is having. Well, Zeus is famously non-monogamous, shall we say, and Hercules is not her son. And because one of the default traits of women in Greek myth is jealous, she decides that her only mission in life, as long as Hercules is alive, is for him to be dead. So, that doesn't work. Here, this other statue of Hercules has him looking fat and cherubic and young and happy, just crushing the life out of a snake that she sent to kill Hercules in the crib, as babies do. So, nevertheless, Hera persisted. She eventually successfully places a curse on Hercules, which causes him to kill his wife and family, because the other default state for women in Greek mythology is dead. As you can imagine, a man who has just killed his entire family is pretty lost. He has nothing left, he's despondent, he's lost his honor, he's lost his livelihood, he's lost his strength. His life is over. Except it's not, because the Greeks love a good comeback kid. And men always get second chances. So enter the 12 labors, which are these tasks Hercules is asked to perform so that he can redeem himself by showing his strength, his valor, his heroicism. And we're interested in just one of those tasks today. The Hydra. And that's right, we finally arrived at the first buzzword of my talk. So the Hydra depicted here in battle with Hercules is a many-headed serpent. It's basically a model of what we consider to be dragons now. And in this Grecian urn, I've got a photograph of here. Hercules is grabbing one of the necks of the Hydra. He's crushing it like he used to do as a baby. Doesn't work so good this time. The Hydra is retaliating, lunging for his sternum, and it's a fierce battle. And by the time Hercules engages it, it's killed a lot of people. And the problem is, every time Hercules cuts off one of the Hydra's heads, more heads grow back. It's the same battle, over and over and over again. This, unfortunately, reminds me of another story, the story of web accessibility. So, spoilers, I'm in this story. I write code, I give design feedback, I audit websites, and I yell about something called the WCAG. And on the left-hand side of the slide, I have an illustration of me done in flat color. I've got a jacket on, I've got my cane. I look pretty cute, if I may say so myself. So for those of you who don't know what the WCAG is, it's a set of guidelines written by the W3 Consortium to help developers make more accessible and inclusive design choices with their applications. It's something that I use when advising other developers who may not know about accessibility very much. It's something that is not necessarily a Bible or a lore book for us, if you will, but it does help us make good UX decisions. And before, I worked at an organization who offered my team and myself up in office hours, where anyone in the organization could come and ask us for help. And it was genuinely a lot of fun. And I have for you here some non-literal but representative examples of the kinds of things I would see in office hours. On screen now, I have a span with an on-click handler, which, when clicked, should do something like handle submission. Maybe we're in a form or something. And this works just fine for mouse users, but not so good for keyboard users. A keyboard user can never discover this span because it's not an interactive element. It doesn't really exist as far as the keyboard's concerned. A screen reader user might be able to discover this button, but they would never know that they're allowed to click on it, much less be told how to do so. So my team and I would suggest something like turning the span into a button. Magic, right? Use the platform for what it's good for. This button is available to keyboard users. It can be tabbed to, it can be clicked with the space or enter key, and it can be used by screen readers. So problem solved. Another problem we would encounter very often is the overuse of large blocks of text, like this. And I have on screen some nonsense text that we owe to the doggo ipsum generator, which is a great way to get lorem ipsum text if you want nonsense about dogs, which is great, because dog nonsense is the best kind of nonsense. So text itself is pretty accessible by default, by nature. It's hard to break, but there is a UX, a user experience problem with large blocks of text, which is that it's hard to parse, it's hard to understand, and it's hard to navigate over and over again. If you want to find your place, headings are a great way to get back to where you were. And screen reader users have the ability to digest headings and to list them out and to go through them really easily. And so my team and I would suggest that we add headings to this content. And so here we have the same block of nonsense text again, but with an opening heading and a heading in the middle of the text to break it up some. So now a screen reader user can use their rotor and digest the text and jump down to our second heading if they want to go somewhere else in the long text we have on the page. This is great. This is good. But then the very next week, I would see something like this. Another span with a click handler on it. It's the same battle, over and over, and over again. And if you're thinking it shouldn't be like this, I agree with you. That's why I'm here. But, I mean, what can we do? Us tech people are just schlubs who push bytes around and make rocks do tricks for us. There has to be another way. And I think that by changing our perspective, we can see things a bit differently. The real story of the stories here is why. And why is it that we're changing spans into buttons and adding heading contents to large bits of text, and nothing is really getting better? I think that we need to look closer at the stories we're telling in the real world and around the real world to see what's going on. Or, said differently, this is not just about the web. The story of Hercules is canon to us. It's real. Just like Hercules, we are solving problems in a way that allows those problems to persist, sometimes worse than before. When I mentioned the Greeks before, I said that these stories that they told are a record of what they saw the world to be, the truth of the world, people's worth, people's livelihood, left behind for us to digest and to understand them. Let's look at some stories in our world and see what they say about us. And actually, a quick aside before I get to us, I wanted to point out that in the time that people were telling stories about Hercules, women weren't allowed to be on stage because it's considered dangerous, or it was considered dangerous for them in the time, which is ridiculous, right? Telling stories about people without allowing them to act out or participate in those stories? No one does that anymore, right? Let's see. Forrest Gump. Forrest Gump is the story, the movie, of a physically disabled, mentally disabled man who, when he's born, has trouble walking and uses leg braces. In the story, he overcomes his disability by running very, very hard. Boy, do I wish I could do that. The story goes on to position him as a source of inspiration and motivation to everyone else, regardless of what happens to him, that if you try just hard enough, you too can be not disabled anymore. Interesting. In the hit TV show Glee, Artie is a wheelchair user who's paraplegic, and he sings songs and does whatever else they do on that show. But at one point in the show, you discover that he has a very sincere dream to be able to dance. There's an entire episode dedicated to him having this extended dancing sequence with a beautiful woman and getting up out of his chair and using his legs to walk. Artie is played by Kevin McHale, a non-wheelchair user who is not paraplegic. Me Before You, a romantic drama starring Sam Claflin and Emilia Clarke. In this drama, a character named Will becomes quadriplegic in a motorcycle accident. He wants nothing more than to die by legal suicide in Sweden. And over the course of the story, Emilia Clarke's character learns to love him and fall in love with him and love herself better because he exists in her life. He is a vessel through which she is purified of the problems and boredoms in her day-to-day world. Spoilers, he dies anyway because being disabled is just that miserable. I want to say, in telling all these stories, that we learn from these stories. According to research done by the Autism Self-Advocacy Network, 219 people were killed in the years between 2011 and 2015. 219 disabled people were killed by their caregivers because being disabled is just that miserable in our society. I promised you that I was in this story, and I still am. I used to be an actor, because everyone who lived in LA was, at some point. I will always remember the last audition I went to, where I did my first audition, and I went to the second one, which is called a callback. And the woman who was casting looked me up and down and said, "Oh, honey, we don't have parts for people like you. And yet, we have parts for people like Sam Claflin and Kevin McHale and Tom Hanks." Very interesting. It wasn't until I was about 21 when I first saw someone like me on screen. This is a photograph of R.J. Mitty playing the role of Walt Jr. in Breaking Bad. R.J. Mitty has my disability, which is cerebral palsy. We don't have the same diagnosis or the same symptoms, but we have very similar symptoms. And so, for the first time, when I finally started watching the show a bit late, I saw a mirror held up and reflecting something about me that I had never seen before. This was also the same year that I had that terrible audition and gave up acting forever. This is ostensibly a great thing, but I was so unaccustomed to seeing myself in stories that I was deeply uncomfortable looking at him. And I cried from joy, but also a lot of spiritual discomfort. And even when storytelling has wins like this, the stories around those stories don't get much better. Allysons Story became the first wheelchair user ever to win a Tony Award in the 2019 season for her work in Oklahoma, which is incredible. In this photograph, she's wearing a beautiful yellow dress and holding up her award in triumph. The thing is, Radio City Music Hall was built in 1932, and there is no ramp leading up from the house of the Radio City Music Hall to the stage. This means that Ally Stoker, Tony Award winner, had to wait backstage with the props and the equipment to accept her award when it was time and to use a stage lift to get on stage. I also want to point out that these stories don't just reflect what's going on right now in culture, they reflect how we look back on stories that are important to us, particularly to us as Americans. Harriet Tubman was an African-American woman who is known primarily for her incredible work to free other slaves from slavery. She founded what is known as the Underground Railroad, and in her life helped hundreds of slaves experience freedom when they didn't have it before. One thing you might not know about Harriet, and I didn't know until about a week and a half ago, was that she was disabled. She saved another slave from serious harm as a teenager, and as a result experienced head trauma, which caused her to have what we know now to be epilepsy. It's not that Harriet being epileptic makes her story more inspiring or more incredible, but it gives important context to who she was as a person and to what kinds of people have been our heroes for so long and why we are omitting certain facts about them in our storytelling. So again, that why. Why is it that for every span I turn into a button, there are 2 more spans? Or for every wall of text I add headings to, there's another wall of text to break down? Why is it that we tell these stories about people with disabilities and we omit them from these stories in the process? I believe that precise language is important to good storytelling, so I'd like to offer you a simple word as a theory: ableism. Ableism is our why. And in a working definition by T.A. Lewis, ableism is a system that places value on people's bodies and minds based on the socially constructed ideas of normalcy, intelligence, and excellence. These constructed ideas are deeply rooted in anti-blackness, eugenics, and capitalism. Ableism does not have to come from malice. It can be an accident. It can be a goodwill that's turned sour. Just like someone saying to me, "Oh, you're so articulate," for someone like you. It can be in the built environment. It can be on the web. It can be in simple things like a podium being designed for people who can stand and not for people like me. Ableism, I'd like to say, is our Hydra. The space and problems of web accessibility and of acting and who we tell stories to and about all exist in the claws and necks and mouths of the Hydra. Until people who make the web understand that ableism is in their lives and that they can be ableist, the web is not going to get any better. In fact, I believe that a monster left alone only gets worse. But Hercules has some experience with Hydras, so maybe we can ask him what he did. In this illustration here, Hercules is working with his nephew Iolaus to slay the Hydra. Hercules cuts off the heads of a Hydra, and Iolaus follows shortly behind with a torch to burn the stump of the Hydra's head so that no head may grow back again. This is great for them, but ableism does not have heads we can cut off or a body we can burn, so we need to be creative and a little brave. We need to figure out ways to kill ableism. And as with any idea, as with any abstract, it's not easy, it's not prescriptive, but I have some thoughts as to how we can progress. First is to understand that ableism lives in a system of systems. Tatiana Mac has a great talk about this. In it, she explores the idea that so many things that we take for granted about design and about America itself come from racism, that racism is in every part of our society. And if ableism is a hydra, it is also just one head of a hydra of problems in our culture that we need to address. If you have the time, I highly recommend that you look up this talk, and I'll be tweeting about it after my talk is over. Part 2, we can do some simple things individually in our lives to directly combat ableism. Number 1, to say the word, because we cannot kill a monster that we are too afraid to name. Number 2, follow more people with disabilities. This means just taking a look at who you follow and track on social media and what it means to you, the kinds of stories you absorb yourself with. It means following more people and just acknowledging that they exist, learning what they say about themselves and about the world, and seeing how that changes your perspective on things. Number 3, commit to being anti-ableist. That means if you see ableism in your life, in casting choices, in storytelling, at work, in the decisions that are being made about how your apps are built, choose to say no. Choose to stand up even when no one with a disability is around and can defend themselves. It means also getting out of the way or sharing your opportunities with people with disabilities who haven't had those chances before. It means committing to the idea that this is an uphill battle and that there are always more heads to cut off, and accepting that this is work that we must all do. To begin this work, I have a list of people I recommend you follow. I'm not going to take the time to read them all out by name. I'll be tweeting them after this talk. Again, you can follow me or say hi at Codability. But to name a few, Kia Maria, Cherry Ray, Dominic Evans, Mason Zaid, SF Direwolf, Shelly Little, Ola's Truth, and a few others, which again, I'll tweet about. I would like to acknowledge Melissa Thompson for educating me about Harriet Tubman, and Tatiana Mac for her talk. And this slide is missing a person, my friend Shannon Hay, who drew the illustration of me. Thank you, and please remember that the stories you tell have consequences.